Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I welcome Mr. Mayank Manoj Sharma, and he will speak on the topic Indian shrimp farming, current trends and future prospects. I now request the speaker to begin. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, ma'am. So, my today's motive for this talk is very simple and straightforward. It's just to give you an outline or understanding about how Indian shrimp industry is doing, what are the current trends, or what are the future prospects, and how, if anyone who is listening to me, who is also a young professional, or he's a student, or he or she, they are very keen to enter aquaculture. So my motive here would be to make sure that you have a clarity about how you can become part of this industry and what trends are going on in the industry from current perspective. So before initiating most part of my talk, I always look at this target as a very ambitious target, and it really motivates me that Vision 2047. Today, our industry is somewhere around 8 billion US dollars, but we are seeing it nothing less than almost 10 times more growth by 2047. And this vision is ambitious, and also 100% this is possible. So, what are the reasons behind this? If you see our resources, if you see the length of our coastline, which is about 11,000 kilometers, the amount of river and canals we have, the inland resources we have, the reservoirs which we have, or if you look at the brackish water reserves which we have, which is nothing less than 14 lakh hectares. So, if in that context, if you look at in that purview, there are lots and lots of resources which we already have to make it possible. And of course, aquaculture has become a very trending topic in India. And I think recently in the 15th August Independence speech, our Honorable Prime Minister also mentioned the significance of exports. And more importantly, he highlighted the seafood exports and the value of shrimp, or the potential of shrimp, which is providing foreign exchange earning for our country. So this is where I feel very happy and very privileged that even the government, the entire shrimp industry, they are really keen and looking forward to grow this sector. And it would be very nice that all this information is being highlighted to the spectators. So this is only where you are, like any one of you would be motivated. And also, if some of you is already into this sector, still this is a very important highlight for you that there are many things which needs to be done for this sector. So itself it creates ample and ample of opportunity. If you see at the different yojanas or schemes which government has launched, starting from Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, or if it is Fisheries Infrastructure Development Fund, Kisan credit cards, so government is trying their best to provide working capital, or credit, capital expenditure at a minimum subvention, and they are providing access to capital. So this is the one of the very major strengths which government is also providing us. Of course, there are private institutions, or investors, or even bank who can provide you loan, but that is different. Government have backbone, and government support is really very important, whether it is providing the resources to us or giving us an access to capital. So in terms of shrimp industry, there are two main species. One is Lithopenes vanami, the most rare or cultured species, and the very highly commoditated trading species if you consider from India. And second is black tiger. It is a niche market. Mostly it's an Asian variety, and this market is for premium, bigger and niche sizes. Uh, Penis monodon is largely centered towards, I would say, Indo-Pacific, like towards East Africa, India, of course, or other Asian countries where cultures are going on, including India now. Venamai is the most cultured species, one of the most cultured species in the world, also in terms of commodity and trade. and also it is one of the single highest shrimp species being cultured in our country. If you see its production, this data is taken from Marine Product Export Development Authority, so you will have an access. So you can see the growth. You can see the potential of this shrimp farming, or you can see the potential at which the country is operating. Producing 1.3 million metric tons, it's not a joke. It's an involvement of an entire industry, whether it is about 55,000 number of farmers, almost 36 different feed meal companies, thousands of different technological input companies, hatcheries. So if you consider such a complex value chain, and if we can attain this thing, it's still a very measurable impact which shrimp farmers or the entire shrimp industry has achieved for the country. This highlights the black tiger production. Black tiger shrimp production, as I said, it's a niche market. So it's a slowly, gradually developing market. But of course, it can never outpace culture. But of course, this will have its slow, gradual increase in production as per the market demand and how we are marketing our produce. So if you see, this image is just to give you an outlook about the shrimp industry. As all of you might be knowing, that Andhra Pradesh is the hub, or I would say the centerpiece of the entire shrimp industry, where majority of the shrimp is produced, where the entire industry exists. Then we have other states like Odisha, West Bengal towards East India, Tamil Nadu. If you look at West, we have Gujarat, Maharashtra, a bit of Goa, Karnataka, and Kerala. But yes, in terms of understanding, I would say the industry is largely dominated towards East India in terms of production, and also the amount of number of feed mill companies, hatcheries, and everything. Because East India is offering scale. East India is offering larger pool of land, number of farmers. So the integration is much better in East India in terms of production, in terms of material availability, and also, of course, in terms of an export-oriented industry. One good important highlight is that if you see at the image at bottom, you would notice that Gujarat as a region is also one of the very niche regions because of very good water chemistry, access to good better salinity and brackish water aquaculture based resources. So Gujarat is one of the very potential resources for black tiger culture, and also of course West Bengal. So if some of you, if you're listening to me, you would see that almost Gujarat and West Bengal, they hold a very large portion of brackish water land. For example, Gujarat holds nothing less than 376,000 hectares, out of which hardly 10,000 hectares is developed. So you can imagine the potential which shrimp farming or uh, any aquaculture or brackish water oriented seafood industry which will be developed will create lots and lots of employment opportunities for the youth or for any individual who wish to do this. And most importantly, it's for the rural economy, the growth of rural economy in our country. And what great could be that the rural economy can contribute, and also they can contribute for the foreign exchange earning for our nation. Aquaculture industry requirements. Understanding requirements of the industry is very important, because having a reasonably sound technical knowledge is a different thing, but unless and until you don't understand the value chain, or you don't understand the people behind the industry's success, or the companies or the sectors who are important behind making a great show or making a great potential impact for the industry. So I would say yes, of course, the feed company, the feed inputs, the seed inputs, the healthcare inputs, infrastructure development, energy requirement via electricity, or of course fuel, technical expertise who are learned individuals are required into the industry. Now, of course, there is a integration of technology, IoT. Of course, these are a very important aspects now, whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is Internet of Things, whether it is database management or farm managing tools. Now you can just, on your mobile phone, you can have like amples of data. You can read your data records of your shrimp ponds, or you can operate even your auto feeders or your aerators, which are the important aspects in shrimp ponds. You can handle all these things just at a click from your mobile. So it's very fascinating, and at the same time, it shows the that aquaculture industry, like any other industry, is also heavily adopting automation or heavily adopting technological solutions. Then, of course, processors or the processing market is required. And besides all this, after making a product that is shrimp, you need to market. So marketing, or let's say, I would say that exporters and market people are kind of similar. It's a link, because as I said earlier, it's an export oriented industry. So exporters give a platform to the farmer to market the shrimps to the market, other markets. Of course, in terms of majority market share, for India, US is the major market share. And post that, there is, of course, China, there is Europe, there is Japan, there is Middle East. So yes, we have markets, but now countries also looking forward to diversify the market portfolios. As you can see, there are lots and lots of FTAs going on. So now, as one of the examples I can give is FTA with UK. So with the FTA, free trade agreement with UK, you can have an access to sell your seafood, and more particularly in my case, shrimp, to can be made available to these markets. So over reliance on any one country or any one market can is not always good. So it's always good that you have a diversified portfolio or diversified markets. Resources and opportunities for the youth. See, it is very important that the young professionals who will are listening to this talk, it's very important that you understand the potential significance. Up till now, I have talked about the land, I have talked about the potential resources, what industry is doing, what impact industry has done, and all the technical information. But now, what you can do as a youth? It's not very important that all of you should become farmers only. If you become farmers, yes, you are providing for the food security of the country, and also you are an equal contributor towards foreign exchange earning. But if you are very keen, you can become research scientists. You can also get into IMT, integrated multi-trophic aquaculture systems. If some of you listening to this talk are from science background, more particularly biotechnology, so you can develop healthcare solutions or disease diagnostic kits for disease detection or fighting or combating the disease which are prevailing in shrimp farming. One disease called white spot syndrome or WSSV, this virus is causing billions of dollars of loss to our country. So imagine if any one of you listening to this talk, if you find a potential solution to this, it would be a huge blessing for the industry, for the farmers. You can also become a technical expert providing technical consultancy, or you could become partner with any of the farmers or any, let's say, farming company where you can provide your technical expertise for streamlining the operations or making the shrimp production easy with your technical expertise and manage entire show. And for that, you can definitely have a good say into the market or good say for earning or collaborating with any partners. Besides this, formulations, making good feed formulations, as input dependencies of fish meal, fish oil, or soy. So it's very important that if you understand nutrition aspects, maybe you can find a solution to make trimmings, or reduce the certain percentage of fish meal, fish oil, substitute it with some ingredient, maybe some marine source. Or this is just an example. This is just an example. Maybe there can be any other hypothetical molecule also which can help. And last and foremost, I think besides export oriented industry, it is also very important for you to understand the potential of domestic market. As you could see, India is producing about like 1.3 million metric tons and above, including black tiger culture. But the growth of the industry is definitely attributed to export oriented industry. But in recent cumulative efforts by the industry, the significance of domestic market is now here, and I would really request to many of the young professionals to become part of domestic market as well, because I will like to talk ahead in more details in my talk after I present each and every case studies. But this is also one of the sectors in which youth can participate, because domestic market is also one of the very trending topics into the industry currently. So this is my first case study which I would like to show you, is that this is a story about my father, Dr. Manoj Sharma, who has laid a technical foundation of shrimp farming industry in Gujarat. The importance behind this image is that you can see my father. If you see my mouse cursor, so this is my father, Dr. Manoj Sharma. See this how he used to, struggle for his days need, for his survival, for his, survival into this world, and he did this. He is a graduate, and but still, you see, he worked at the ponds, he constructed the ponds, he demonstrated shrimp farming, and this is how he started from a very modest and a very simple background. And today, if you see the same person on right side of the image is so successful. So that's why I am me mentioning earning a dollar to forming $1 million business is that if Dr. Manoj Sharma, and this is the time I'm talking about 1994, no technological advancements, no more much access to internet, nothing, but just a simple vision and idea that shrimp farming could be a source of employment for him and also can provide food and profit and employment opportunities for the region, for the coastal rural community in Gujarat. So he just started that. He used to sell shrimps on road, as you can see. And the same guy today is taking care of $1 million company. And I am the next generation who is also part of this industry. So this is what I'm saying. Besides not having any resources, just a sheer will to do something for the industry, many people have struggled. So this is just one of the stories of my father. There are many people in the industry who have really struggled, and we should always be grateful. And me as a next generation entrepreneur, I am very grateful to my father, and I am very grateful to each and every stakeholder of this industry who made this industry at such a grand scale and making shrimp industry one of the largest traded commodity in the seafood export. So journey from Jhinga to Jhingalala, it's one of the magazine featured in famous Aquaculture Spectrum magazine. My father also, besides founding technical foundation, he also established association, which was Surat Aqua Farmers Association. And this model was adopted across entire regions of shrimp farming in Gujarat, and later on Gujarat Aquaculture Association, a single flagship association was made for the state. The potential of shrimp farming development, as you can see in 2009, see the number of ponds, they are like bare minimum. But after the success, after the people saw the success, people believed in the success, you can see that the number of ponds increased across the creek belt. The highlights, as I said, the beautiful highlight of shrimp farming development, especially in Gujarat, is that the salt affected wastelands where no agriculture activity is possible, there the coastal rural fishermen are creating a source of livelihood with shrimp farming. An individual person is not only getting an employment, but an individual farmer is also becoming a self entrepreneur. He's becoming an entrepreneur himself. This business is also providing lots and lots of employment opportunity and workforce. It is also supporting the goal of sustainable food and aquaculture, and also a priority. It is playing a very crucial role in earning foreign exchange, as I said. Imagine an hectare of salt affected wasteland is providing employment directly and indirectly to 8 to 10 individuals. So, as I said, in Gujarat, about 10-12,000 hectares of land has been developed, and it has given employment to almost 1 lakh individuals minimum. So, imagine out of 3,76,000 hectares, only 10,000 is developed. Even if 50,000 hectares is developed, it can provide additional employment to 5 lakh individuals. And shrimp farming or the shrimp industry is not only confined to farming, or it's not only confined to stakeholders. It is also confined to indirect benefits which we are giving to engineering places, ice buying ice blocks for harvesting, or just routine conveyance charges for tempo truck drivers, retail stores, kirana stores for the local ecosystem where farming is present, or the tractor work. So, like this, you are growing food, you are exporting it, but at the same point, you are giving immense employment opportunities. So I think this is one of the very aggressive sector in which we should definitely look into. And more lands, more and more opportunities, and all of this will only be successful if the youth and also the existing stakeholders aggressively promote this sector, which we all are doing. And I, as a next generation, I request youth to be part of this sector. Just a brief case study about how farming is, expanding. So I'm just giving my company's example. Of course, there are many other companies into the market space, but why I'm giving a company's example is that you should also understand that besides being farmer, there are also many people who are also making distribution firms to sell seed, feed, other aquaculture inputs. Or there are also companies like me who are into corporate farming, who have developed more than 200 hectares of farming land, collaborating with different farmers and producing 2000 tons of material. So this is what my company story is. It was formed in 2005. It is one of the largest, most productive companies in my region, and our cumulative output, including my farms and my partner group of farms, is about 2000 metric tons. This is the multi-fish shrimp model which I wanted to explain to you guys. This model is the future. Why? If you would see that round tank culture systems or the multi-phase systems, these are beneficial because number one, they provide biosecurity and absolute biosecurity. The shrimps are reared in a disease-free environment, whether it is nursery-based shrimps. The shrimps would become more robust. And thirdly, the multi-phase crop allows farmers to take multiple crops in a year rather than conventionally 2 or 3 crops. They can go for at least the threshold of 3 crops. The success rate can be continued. So this is the potential of multi-fish shrimp farming. And besides that, yes, as I said, indoor farming or round tank system, they are very fruitful because now in our country we have an access to domestic market. So domestic market will allow us to manage our shrimp, manage our material, and sell easily into the domestic market. These are the nursery tanks. But like this, even if you have bigger tanks, like 1000-ton capacity tanks, you can grow shrimps. If you see one of our organizations or the body which is called Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture, they developed this intensive farming. Unfortunately, I don't have in this slide, but if you search super intensive farming, and if you just write CIBA, you will see the intensive tank culture systems which they are doing. What I am showing you in terms of current trend is that the top image, you can see that these are nursery reared seeds. Why? Because if a small baby PL, just a small post larvae, hardly, to the size or weight of 6 milligrams, 7 milligrams. But if you rear this and make them close to 200, 300 milligrams or half a gram of size, you are creating a robust seed and a healthy seed which you can stock into your pond and get more survival, better disease resistance, and better growth. So this is where also the industry is also moving towards adoption of nursery for sustainable crop. And by sustainability, I mean good success rate, better resistance to disease, and also more importantly, managing or scaling the production. This is just some of the images of multi-fish shrimp farming. Earlier, what I showed was Venamai harvest. Second is the black tiger harvest. Imagine, so just an example, because black tiger shrimp takes a minimum of 200 days of culture to reach a good, bigger commercial size of above 50 grams. So in this case, if I adopt nursery for 30-40 days, it in a high-tech facility, even a lined ponds, or it could just be a round tank where I'm rearing my PLs, I will reduce the days of culture. And henceforth, if I reduce the days of culture, I will be reducing the amount of energy, the amount of inputs, the feed, the workforce behind it. So like this, even if I reduce minimum of 15 days, or by rearing more in nursery for 30-40 days, or having like a medium where I'm reducing 30, even marginally 30 days. So it is a big saving in terms of energy, input cost, and other things. So I can effectively streamline the target harvest, because if I know my target harvest, I can scale efficiently with the help of nursery. So nursery, multi-phase shrimp nursery concept, which is also one of the concepts and introduced by my father, for which we also received National Fisheries Development Board Innovation Award as well. So like this, innovations are also happening into the sector under the guidance and the mentorship of course, our senior aquaculture professionals, but also equally youth are also taking part in this. Now, in terms of current trends in genetics, understanding the genetics is very important. Why different genetic programs? Because earlier, whatever industry was based, it was based on wild stocks. There was no genetic program or any dedicated program. But now, when you see, you have we have started from SPF, that is specific pathogen free. Now we have reached to a program where we can produce specific pathogen tolerant, specific pathogen resistance, or even all pathogen exposed broodstocks of Ecuador, which is also one of the very catalyzing part of their industry, that they don't get failure with disease, while the countries like India or other places, we can get disease failure. So imagine if any one of you who can become part of this genetic program, or if you can, you know, contribute in making good shrimp genetics or local genetic program for our country, it could be a blessing for the farmers. As I mentioned earlier about automated systems, so we have automated systems in the form of stationary auto feeder, where in the ponds you install minimum of two auto feeders, or depending on your pond size, it could go well beyond two auto feeders as well, and that those are stationary ones. And you also have a moving auto feeders, which is GPS guided, or there are like a cable wire at which the auto feeder moves with the help of paddle. So like this, automatic feed dispensing mechanisms are also there, and this is very useful because incorporation of auto feeders ensures effective distribution of feed across the pond. The feed will be also, there are also acoustic based auto feeders, which gives feeding at the basis of the appetite, or adjusting on that behavior. AI based systems are incorporated now to understand the check tray, like how you can see in this image, my cursor, if you see at the bottom right, you see the person lifting the check tray and checking the shrimp consumption. So now a farmer can just upload the image of that, understand, get a feedback from AI. So this is how technology is shaping the farming world. So now Internet of Things, as I mentioned earlier, I would not like to stretch on this topic. As I said, there are seed counters. If you have a tub with, let's say, 1500 2000 numbers of shrimp post larvae, they can count it, they can show the size distribution curve, they can show any abnormalities if they have found. Besides that, you have database management tools where you can plan the crop. Like there are different metrics, but let's say stocking density, how many days of culture you have reared, what is the average body weight, how many times you have done partial harvest, what was your total biomass which you harvested at the end of crop, what was your feed conversion ratio, what was your overall profitability, if you are mentioning also the cost sheet. So this is how database management tools are also helping farmers to take guided decisions. Of course, we have sensors like pH sensors, temperature, DO. So all these things are also helping with routine monitoring. Of course, as I mentioned earlier about camera-based detection and artificial intelligence, they are also, changing the way we perceive interpreting data, and having a very strong technical guidance. Because earlier, what used to happen, definitely, we had a good technical sound knowledge, but now, besides knowledge, we have these tools to continuously improve by getting good data, feeding this data, and understanding the patterns which are happening at your specific sites, understanding what is right, what is wrong, and also predicting the patterns. Of course, in terms of prediction, I have my own take in this. Of course, everybody would have their own take, but in terms of prediction, I personally feel that after learning from my father as well, shrimp farming technology incorporation is good, but it has its limitation. because every crop, it is an open pond system. Every crop is it's having its own story. There will be different environmental factors, there will be different pond conditions, so not every pond is going to perform the same with technology. So this is just an highlight which I would want to give you to understand. Incorporate technology, make it part of your farming system, but over reliance is not possible. You need a farmer's soul to be part of the farming operations. Then, of course, there are aerations like paddle wheel aerators or other diffuse aeration systems, nanobubble technology. These are also gaining prevalence as the pond design structure, everything is changing across the world, including India. India also, there are some places now they are started round tank systems, incorporating diffuser based aeration systems, and so and so. And also, as I mentioned earlier in my talk, with the help of mobile, they can also have an access to this aeration system. They can understand. I think even if, to my understanding, they also have a power monitoring system. There are companies like you can just search Aqua Exchange. So I know one of these companies. So they are also very good from contributing towards providing IoT based auto feeders, aerators into the market. Disease prevention and diagnostics. In terms of trend, I would say that earlier we had a very symptom-based approach where we would understand the disease and patterns in early 1990s. But then PCR came, changed everything. We have accurate, faster making decisions. And now in terms of next generation diagnostics, besides of having PCR, we have real-time PCR, we have lateral flow kits, we have LAMP associated testing, on-site farming testing kits. So like this, you can also get into a venture of providing disease diagnostic kits with better accuracy. So that can also help farmers and the industry. The final and the foremost, besides talking about the industry trends, the policies, the framework, how export oriented industry is operating, the final part, the final chapter to my presentation is domestic market. Why domestic market? In a country where we are having a very good population of non-vegetarian consumption, in a country with biggest population about close to 1.5 billion, I believe that if data states that more than 150 lakh tons now fish is produced in our country, even if 50% of the domestic support for shrimp industry if we can get, because shrimp primarily was always perceived as export oriented commodity. But what if cumulative efforts which all the industry players, government is putting, and they have put for last almost, I would not say a decade, but let's say post COVID. So after that, if we are reaching to the tune of 1 to 1.5 lakh tons of domestic market, what if we even double this figure out of our 1.3 million metric tons, which is like let's say 13 lakh tons. If we find this, we have reached up to the tune of, let's say, an average of 10%. What if we can make this almost double, 20%, 25%? This would bring sustainability to the farmers. This would protect farmers from crash harvest. This would protect farmers from price fluctuations. This would provide stable farm gate prices at a certain count or sizes. When I say count, means shrimp is graded in counts, that is counts per kg at farm gate level. Example, if I say 40 count, that means there are 40 pieces of shrimp per kilogram of box, that is individual size of 25 grams. So again, a case study. My father, Dr. Manoj Sharma, has single-handedly, being very strong and very, he has been very vocal about promoting domestic market. And him being a farmer, him being the one selling shrimps on the road, so he understands the significance of the hard work, the sweat, the amount of capital, or the amount of huge physical, if you mention about like physical stress, mental stress, economical stress, price fluctuation, everything. So this takes a huge toll on the farmers. So he understands that, he can sympathize that with the farmers. So in the same way, after this, He understood that Indian industry has immense potential to grow, but over reliance on any one country, over reliance on any one market is not good, or it's not healthy for any business or any industry. So with his vision, he started Jingalala. Jingalala, simple meaning is that Jinga means in our local Gujarat dialect, we call it shrimp, Jinga. Lala means a commune of people. So we are here trying to promote the shrimp consumption among the non-vegetarian eating population of our country. If in a country where egg is popular, thanks to NECC, in a country where chicken, lamb, different fishes, whether it is freshwater fish, inland fish, or marine fish are consumed in our country. Even if you see the datas, the primary domestic consumption of fishes is very high. Then in a country, why shrimps cannot be sold? It is just that we have never made it available, or we have never marketed it very strongly. And now, as we are, this is the finest example you have. About 1.5 lakh tons of shrimps is sold in our country now. So, what else we need? I think even if we can achieve this thing, I am very sure that in the coming times we can also double our domestic market. We can make it reach close to, let's say, 2.5 to 3 lakh tons. And this is only possible with the support of industry, government, and also the next generation, or the youth who wants to become part of this industry, or the professionals besides the youth who not only contributing towards the technicality but also helping in promoting the market, the indigenous local domestic market in our country. These are the some photos of my restaurant. This is the second outlet. After the good response of our first outlet, we have opened the second outlet close to the highway, where now we are trying to promote not only shrimp delicacies but also promoting frozen, because we believe that frozen is the new fresh. Frozen shrimps gives you good storage life. Shrimps are packed and freezed at the time where shrimps are at the best freshness, stored at refrigerated temperatures. Cold chain is there definitely. See, there are many people who would argue that cold chain is an issue, this is an issue, but see, if in from Kashmir to Kanyakumari we can send ice creams and other stuff in all the local places, or even tier 3 tier 4 cities also, you have refrigerators for ice creams and other things. So I think that even shrimp cold chain is possible. It's just about making it available, because once you strongly make it available, everything is going to go good. But yes, in terms of being part of this industry, this would be in phases, like how we have done. Now, I can proudly tell you that my farming operations, we sell annually 200 to 300 tons of shrimps into the domestic market. And besides this, our restaurant also caters it to the consumer. We promote the shrimp consumption. And also now, besides the fresh sales, we have also entered into frozen sales. So it will take time, frozen. But this is something, if after doing continuously 8 years of effort, if we can reach to the scale where we are doing 200, 300 tons of domestic sales of shrimp, let's say roughly around 9 to 10 crores worth of shrimp can be sold in domestic market by a single farmer or corporate company. Even if farmer starts doing this, they would be doing very good for themselves. These are just some dishes which are served at our restaurant. As I mentioned about the cold chain, see, I've just bought this 2-ton capacity refrigerated truck, packed good Jingalala fresh shrimps inside it, and I'm making it available. There are different cold rooms in different major city. You can rent the cold rooms. You just need to have a sound understanding of managing your inventories, finding the right market, making it available to the Horeca restaurants. So there's, as my father very rightly says, that there are about 4 A's: awareness, availability, affordability, and acceptability. Awareness, making the shrimp aware, marketing it to the best efforts. Availability, making it constantly available, just not market it once and then you don't make it available, it doesn't make sense. You have to create the trend, you have to create the buzz, and at the same time, you have to also make the shrimps available. You have to make it affordable at different sizes, grades, or in the future, maybe we are starting from fresh. Soon, in coming 3-4 years, we can strongly reach towards frozen, or maybe it could take more time. But let's say in coming next decade, we should also think of ready to cook, ready to eat segments also, which are very popular in, like, let's say, nations like Europe, the entire EU nation. So the concluding remark: aquaculture, for me, it's just not an industry. It is a very powerful tool or for rural prosperity, employment generation, and national economic growth. We are not only providing, or we this is not just a science where you are just growing shrimps and just selling it to a buyer. This industry is way beyond that. This industry is providing employment to the scale where you cannot calculate. Huge respect to agriculture sector and aquaculture sector for this. We are making an individual farmer an entrepreneur. We are generating indirect employment, creating an ecosystem where roads, access, infrastructure, retail stores, everything is happening because of the shrimp farming ecosystem in the nearby area. We are providing foreign exchange for our nation. So, with this science driven and sustainable practices, along with farmer empowerment, I strongly believe that India has a huge potential to become football of the blue football of the world. And with this, I would like to conclude my talk. I know it was very comprehensive, but this was the need because I tried my best to summarize, starting from the what is the industry, what is government doing, what we can do, what are the current trends into the industry, some case studies which I have highlighted, and at last my strong remarks regarding the involvement of youth participation because we need a raw good energy of youth which can be guided by industry professionals, academic institutes, and then only collaboratively we can take this industry forward. So thank you so much, and if you have any questions, any doubts or anything, you can always reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. I will take a few questions, sir. In the meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen
Yes, ma'am.
so that we can see your full video? Yeah, yeah. I'll move on to the
It is stopped?
questions. Yeah, yeah. I'll move on to the questions now. The first question is, which shrimp species currently dominate the Indian market, and do you expect this trend to continue?
Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, the species Lithopenes venami or the white shrimp, Pacific white shrimp, it is the most dominated species into the market. And yes, 100% this would be the major dominating and the most traded commodity from India for sure, for the largest coming time.
Okay. Sir, how are changing export markets influencing shrimp production strategies in India?
Okay. So as I mentioned into my talk that of course US is our largest market share followed by China, Europe. But now as you see because of the geopolitical pressure and other things, countries moving forward towards signing FTAs with different countries. One of the examples which I gave in my talk was, let's say, an example of FTA with of course EU FTA, there is UK FTA. So now getting an access to more markets or different country markets is a priority of the country as well, and they have clearly mentioned this. And that also includes, if you see Department of Fisheries journals or the publications, you will see that the country is working very hard towards building more relations, and we are looking beyond US and China, and also we are looking at our own market as well. So that was also my priority. Besides exports, also look it into your own market.
Okay. Sir, which state do you believe will emerge as next major shrimp producing regions?
Major shrimp producing region. I personally, I don't think surpassing Andhra Pradesh is possible physically. I
Okay.
mean, the industry is very beautifully made, and the number of farmers and the industry stakeholders which they exist, and I really wish the best. But yes, Gujarat, if you really ask in terms of land, or if we can increase the production, not only shrimp, but let's say in future, if you look for other seafood species also, in terms of land, I think Gujarat and West Bengal, they are very underutilized. So they surely have a very big potential in the future. Gujarat for sure.
Okay. Our technologies such as artificial intelligence, automation, sensors, and data analysts changing shrimp farming.
Yeah. So I think I have covered this in my talk, but again, I would love to, share, throw some light on this. In terms of database or Internet of Things, as I said that, let's say coming to example of Internet of Things, if a farmer has a pond, he has an access to pH, dissolved oxygen sensors. If it is database management tool, so a farmer is having an application where he is having an access to shrimp databases or metrics like what is the stocking density of your shrimp, how much you have stocked into this pond, uh, how much feed you have added into this pond. There is also cost spreadsheet where you are putting different costs, what you have spent. So the database is helping you to calculate cost of production. So yes, there are many such tools. As I said, AI is part of everything now. See, you have, let's say, even, of course, the models like ChatGPT and all, they are very basic, but they give an comprehensive information. But that is not something which you can completely implement in your technical world. But in terms of AI, which are specialized AI, or the models which are made, primarily with the help of increasing the large language models knowledge, or the database which you are giving, the sources which you are providing to those LLMs, then these are helping the farmers to take guided decision. They are helping the farmers to understand that, if let's say I am uploading a photo of my tray and I see that feed is not getting consumed, so it would just say that, yes, your shrimp consumption or is, let's say it's low, or you check your another check tray time, or if you just take a good picture of shrimp at a high resolution, it could say that, how your hepatopancreas are, or how your shrimp gut line is looking. So like this, definitely AI is definitely taking a good pace, but it will definitely take some time to make it a specialized tool. But in terms of generalized tool, I think AI is already part of aquaculture industry and shrimp industry.
Okay. Sir, disease outbreaks remain one of the biggest challenge in shrimp farming. What preventive measures should farmers prioritize?
Mm, see, disease and incidences, these are part of environmental challenges. Of course, eradicating it is very difficult and very challenging because no one can defy nature. But what the best thing we can do is, which I have also learned from my father, like when we had coronavirus outbreak, we used to follow discipline of safe distance, wearing the mask, and so on. So in the same way, till the time when we don't have a cure, for example, if we don't have a cure to white spot virus, the best thing we can do is abide the biosecurity. Do proper fencing of the ponds, do bird netting, do crab fencing, dog fencing, allow use filters while intaking the water, avoid the entry of any disease vectors or any wild fishes or wild shrimps into your pond, wherever, depending on your geography or where your pond location is. Routinely, you would use good immunostimulants for your pond to increase the immunity of your shrimp. Most importantly, whatever seeds you are sourcing from, for your culture, make sure that you test them for the disease. Use PCR tools, diagnostic tools, routinely monitor that. And as I said, this is prevention is the only best possible tool, because once the disease arrives, like white spot, it will not give you chance. The only option you have is harvest. So the preventive measures or the SOP guidelines is very important to avoid diseases.
Okay, I'll move to the next question, sir. Sir, what are the most common mistakes that lead to disease outbreaks in farms?
Um, I don't think, ma'am. I think because I am also a next generation farmer, I really don't think that there is any term such as mistake, because I think our country or our people or our farmers, they are very technically qualified. It is just that, the disease, the environment challenges like high temperature. So with high temperature, you have vibrios, and vibrios create issues for the farmer. So the best thing is that still, if somewhere some mistakes are happening, so with just a fine example, as I have said, that you focus more on your biosecurity. And besides that, if you want to if you're making mistakes in biosecurity, then there are definitely high chances of disease which can enter to your farming. Or if you are not having a good regime, for example, very small thing, that during summer, if your feeding time is not good, or if you're not feeding as per your body weight or person body weight, if you're overfeeding, so all these challenges create poisonous effects for your pond, like black soil, high ammonia, high nitrites. They will increase the vibrio, because organic load is nothing but food for vibrio. And high organic load, high temperature, they are like the biggest bottleneck for the growth of the shrimps. So this will create problems. So this is where farmer can avoid. Um, Besides this, I think yes, sourcing good PCR free, seeds. I mean disease free, not PCR free. Disease free shrimp post larvae is very important. So getting it checked with PCR for WSSV and EHP is important. So if you don't do all these mistakes, you can at least safeguard your crop.
Okay. What level of investment is required for someone planning to enter the shrimp farming industry?
Okay, yes. See, first of all, I think that investment depends on what exactly the farmer wants to do. But my suggestion to the stakeholders who are listening to me is that before entering to shrimp farming, for you, the most important part is that you understand the business, the value chain. And also, I would request that you should personally visit a shrimp farm yourself, interview the farmer, understand how the farming process are going on, what he is doing, what is the routine activity. Because see, this is not something which is like a morning 9 to 5 p.m. job. This is almost like, you have to be alert 24/7. And more importantly, this is a job post evening, because at night times there are DO issues and lot of issues. So main test of a farmer starts after evening. So this is also a very important part to keep in the mind. Now, in terms of investment, as ma'am asked, I think before the investment or sound understanding, you should also, if possible, I would really insist that you should work at some farm. At least spend one good time or one good month at a farm, or even if you are very busy individual, just spend a week, or train someone, or find a trained professional for you before starting shrimp farming. Coming to the investment part, as per my understanding, if you're making an earthen pond with a complete ready facility of, you know, making the dikes completely with the help of tractors, and making the entire pond, having the infrastructure like starter, cables, aerators, panel, um, all those other things. In terms of capital expenditure, I would say like roughly 8 to 9 lakhs per hectare would be a capital expenditure to make, design everything, including the civil works. To run the crop, it entirely depends on what you're doing. But let's say, assuming country's average production of 5 tons, I would say that you would require another, like, 13, 14 lakh rupees, or like maximum of 15 lakh rupees, if you are aiming at a average Indian size of crop of culture. So that is different. That is the maximum which I'm doing in my country, where in some places you can also have a cost of production of uh, you know two 260 to 250 rupees. So that is hardly 12 and a half lakhs. Because Andhra Pradesh, you have subsidies, you have subsidy in energy cost, but in regions like Gujarat, you don't. You pay almost 10 rupees a unit. So that increases your cost of production. Andhra Pradesh, you have local feed industries, so your feed cost of getting by transport reduces. So all these things factored, as I said, you can assume a average of 12 to 14 lakh rupees, depending on your crop. If you're doing black tiger, of course, the cost of production increases. And in terms of revenue, expect nothing less than a minimum of 25 to like 20-25 lakhs if your selling price. For example, if you are having a cost of production of 250 to 260 rupees, that is like 12 and a half lakh rupees, and if you are selling your shrimps at even 300 rupees, 310 rupees, earning like 50-60 rupees a kg, so you will be making 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees for as a gross profit for you. So like this, a general thumb rule is that in terms of revenue, you can easily do 25,000 US dollar to 30,000 US dollar per hectare or per pond. And with the entire capital expenditure and everything factored, you can have a payback period of 1 year on your entire investment, because it is possible, because you take minimum 2 or 3 crops. So at least the basic of infrastructures and all those things, you can have a good payback, return on investment or payback period from one crop, or let's say 1.5 years, you can completely get it back. Earlier, when the rates were very good, the margins were very high. Now the margins are at 30-40%, but earlier the margins were almost double, 80%, 90%, in some cases 100%. So at that time, it was just 1 or 2 crop of return. But now, yes, it takes about like 1.5 year or maximum of 2 years if there are issues with the rate and everything. So this is how we calculate. So roughly, as I said, 8 to 9 lakhs capital investment. If you are producing 5 tons with an average cost of production of 250 rupees, assume 12 to 13 lakh rupees of your working capital. And besides this, another, if you sell your material even at average selling price of 350 rupees, so another additional 15-16 lakh rupees worth of material you can also harvest for Venamai. For Tiger, uh, you can have a cost of production of 16 to 18 lakh rupees, and you can harvest, because it's a premium size black tiger, you get a minimum rate of at least 550 rupees. So you can harvest 23 to 24 lakh rupees worth of material. So as I said, somewhere revolving between 25,000 to 30,000 US dollars.
Okay. Sir, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who wanted to build a successful career in agriculture?
My advice would be very clear, and it's that our forefathers or our seniors, or including your parents, they never had all these resources, technology, or even good platforms like agriculture information network, whatever the team are doing. No one, they didn't had all this. So I think after having all the knowledge source, all these strong knowledge platforms, and if you are having a good support of the industry, and even me being part of shrimp industry and a next generation, I am really requesting you to be part of this industry. And so you have the support, you have the knowledge source, so all you need is just a reasonably sound approach. So by approach, what I mean is that don't enter into this industry or any industry what you are doing unprepared. Spend some time with the farmers, spend some time with the stakeholders, spend some time with next generation professionals like me, understand what the industry is. And then you have government is ready to provide lands to the graduates, or you can make this into a lucrative business by just providing technological inputs, or seed feed medicine trading company you can make if you don't want to become a farmer. Or you can just open your export channel, you can become an exporter, making an export house. Or even if not, you can become a merchant exporter, you can pack it at some processing plant and you can export. Or you can become scientists and you can do something great by making good technology or disease diagnostic solutions, or finding solutions for disease issues in shrimp farming. Or if still seriously, if you want to become a farmer, you can spend time with farmers, you can understand, work at some place, work, understand this industry, work for some farming company or work for some company for 1 or 2 years, gain that maturity, gain that exposure to the industry, and then start something good for you and contribute for shrimp industry in India.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we would like to thank Mr. Mayank Manoj Sharma for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, sir. Bye-bye.